Hey, I'm Jusko from ProbMoney.com, and it is time for another exciting installment of What's in My Wallet, this time for Q2 of 2022. Before we take a look, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe to this YouTube channel if you have not already, and if you have already, I thank you for doing so. So the Fat Wallet is back for another quarter here, and the good news about Q2 is that there are a lot of really good reward categories between the sort of regular rewards that the cards I have give and some of the quarterly stuff that is happening. And it's good news for me because for the first time in I don't even know how long, I am not currently working toward a credit card sign-up bonus. And it has been about 5 months since I've gotten a new credit card. I'm going to try to go at least one more month unless something really exciting crops up before then. But anyway, since I am not trying to shove a whole lot of spend onto one card in particular in order to get to a sign-up bonus, I am going to be using a lot of cards in Q2. So let's see what they are. All right, let's start those grocery store purchases. In Q2, I will be using the Blue Cash Preferred for the grocery store purchases. Now, this is actually my wife's credit card that I am an authorized user on. This card gives you 6% back on grocery store purchases. US supermarket purchases is what they actually say. On up to $6,000 per year in those purchases after $6,000, you are only going to get 1% on those. Now, we blow through that $6,000 cap every year. So what I usually do is she uses it all the time for groceries, and then if I have a different card that gives me 5% on groceries, I will use that when that is available, like one of the rotating 5% cards. In Q2, none of those are available, at least not any that I have, and so the Blue Cash Preferred I will be using as well for groceries. And then there also is 6% on streaming services with this card, at least most streaming services. And so I have some of those on there as well. There is not a cap on the 6% on streaming services. And, you know, we're spending more and more on streaming services, I think, a lot of us over time. So streaming services used to be sort of like what I would think of as almost like sort of a fringe category, but it's becoming more and more as more and more streaming services come online and we decide to pay for them. All right, let's talk gas. I have two cards where I could get 5% cash back on my gas station purchases in Q2, those being the Discover It card and the Amazon Rewards Visa, the Amazon Prime Rewards Visa card. So Discover It gas station purchases are 5% for Q2 on up to $1,500 worth of gas station purchases. Probably all of my gas station purchases will go on to the Discover It card. I'm not going to go over that probably, but if for some reason, I don't know, I drop it or whatever, I have the Amazon Prime Visa. Now, this is one of those things, I just made a video about this last week talking about the fact that Amazon or Chase and Amazon and some of the other Chase cards, you can get certain bonuses that aren't always advertised to you, or maybe if you're not getting their emails, you wouldn't see some of them. So Amazon, in my case, and I think a lot of other people's cases in Q2, is giving 5% back on gas station purchases, 5% back on travel. I believe it's 3% on grocery store purchases. So normally I don't carry the Amazon Visa around with me because I only use it on Amazon.com. But in this case, it does have the 5% on gas and the 5% on travel, which are the two places I would potentially use it in Q2. So I have the option to get 5% from either Discover or the Amazon Visa. All right, dining out in Q2, as it has been for a little while now, the Citi Custom Cash Card. Now, the Citi Custom Cash Card gives you 5% cash back in the category where you spend the most each month on up to $500 of purchases in whatever that top category is. I have essentially decided that the Citi Custom Cash Card is my restaurant card. And so all my restaurant purchases go on there up to $500 per month, and I don't really put a whole lot else on there if I put anything else on there. So this is the one for up to $500. Now, sad to say, sometimes I do spend over $500 in restaurant purchases in a month. I'm not necessarily proud of that fact, but it is a fact. And so in Q2, assuming I hit that limit, which I often do, I have a few other cards where I can get 3% on restaurant purchases. There are quite a few of them out there these days, and those cards are, hopefully I can just show you the numbers, the Chase Freedom Flex card, the Citi Premier card, and the Chase Sapphire Preferred. So I could use any of these cards as a backup dining card. I probably would use one of the Chase cards mostly because of the fact that I kind of like combining my points with Chase. All right, let's talk travel in quarter two. Now I have some travel booked, going to do some traveling in quarter two. A lot of it's already been booked, so the purchases I'm going to make going forward are things that are, not paid for yet. Now, one of those things that is happening is that the American Express Platinum card, I have a trip coming up where I'm going to be flying and I'm going to be using at least part of the airline credit that goes with this. So there is an up to $200 per year airline credit here. You do have to choose one airline and it's only for incidentals. So things like checked baggage and that sort of stuff, not for the tickets themselves. So I do have a trip coming up where I'm going to have to check a couple bags. And so that is a place where I'm going to get a little value out of that. I might use this for some Uber rides also. I don't really do a whole lot of Ubering on a regular basis, but when I'm traveling, I do tend to do that. Now, the Capital One Venture X also going to get some love in quarter two, not as much as it got in quarter one and the end of last year, but I do still have some travel credits on this card. So this card has a $300 travel credit per year when you book through Capital One Travel. I have already spent about $150 on Capital One Travel, so either this quarter or at least somewhere along the line before November-ish, I have to use the other $150 if I want to max it out. So maybe I will do that on some upcoming trip. I'm not quite sure. I thought I was going to use the rest of this travel credit recently. Now, I just did a video about how I ended up transferring points out of Capital One into the Wyndham program on a redemption in order to get really good value with them. I originally thought I was going to book that trip through Capital One Travel, and found out that when I actually transferred into Wyndham, I got a way better deal. So even though this was something where it would have been at least a partial credit, it was a way better deal for me to do that and use that credit elsewhere. So I could use those cards for that thing and those things. And then I also have the Amazon Rewards Visa. The Prime Visa, like I said earlier, has the 5% on travel purchases through the end of quarter two. And so, at least for me, not everyone maybe has that on their Amazon card, but I think a lot of people do. So any other travel purchases that come up that make sense, maybe things like parking and tolls and that kind of stuff when I'm traveling, it could go on to the Amazon card. Chase, which is the issuer of the Amazon card, has a pretty lenient category in terms of what constitutes travel. And so there are a lot of things that can fall under it. And so anytime I can, I will try to get 5% with that as well. As always, I will be using the Target Red Card to get a 5% discount on the purchases that I make at Target. The Amazon Visa, not usually in my wallet. I usually only use it on Amazon.com, but as I said, it's got that 5% on those other categories in this quarter, so it's in the wallet itself. Now, normally, I would think that I would use this only for my Amazon purchases, but in this quarter, I might not even use it for any of my Amazon purchases because, and I have to do a little mea culpa here because I didn't even realize this at the time or didn't think about it that hard. The Chase Freedom Flex is giving 5% or 5 points per dollar on Amazon purchases in quarter two. So that is the rotating category along with select streaming services. And so you can actually get Chase Ultimate Rewards points versus the points you would get on the Amazon card. So they are two different points. This is part of Chase's larger Ultimate Rewards program where the Amazon is sort of its own thing. You can only use your points either on Amazon or you can get cash back from them. So in this case, I could get 5 points per dollar or 5% on the Chase Freedom Flex, and if I had either the Chase Sapphire Preferred or the Chase Sapphire Reserve, I could actually have those points go into one of those cards or pool the points with one of those cards to potentially get more on travel redemptions with them when using the Chase Ultimate Rewards travel portal. So 25% extra on the Chase Sapphire Preferred, 50% extra on the Chase Sapphire Reserve. I actually have the Preferred, so if I wanted to, I could use the Chase Freedom Flex on my Amazon purchases instead, get that 5%, and if I used it with a 25% bonus toward travel, well then I would be getting 6.25% in travel rewards on those Amazon purchases with those cards. So if that's attractive to you and you have the Chase Freedom Flex, even if you have the Amazon Visa, this still could be the preference for quarter two. And then for me, probably any other purchases that I make are going to go on the Citi Double Cash card, which is going to give me 2% cash back on any of those purchases that don't have a category that is more than 2%. You get 1% when you make the purchase. You get your other 1% when you've actually paid off the purchase. So that is how that card works. There are other 2% cards on the market too. A lot of them these days, which you might choose instead, but that's what I'm actually holding. I have the Capital One Venture X as well, which gives me 2 Capital One miles per dollar. I could choose to use that instead and think of it sort of as a 2% card, and maybe even potentially get more than that if I can get more than a penny per point on those Capital One miles. For me, I'm probably going to use the Citi Double Cash card, but maybe I will. I use this Capital One card. I have a lot of Capital One miles right now, so it's not something where I really want to rack up a whole lot more of them until I start using more of them. All right, and then a handful of cards that I have but are not going to make it into the wallet in Q2. Number one is the Verizon card, gives 4% back on gas, 4% back on groceries, and has a lot of other enhanced rewards. But none of them make the grade this quarter because I can get more with other cards, so not in the wallet. Next up, the Wells Fargo Propel American Express card. This is a card no longer offered. Was a very good card at the time. No annual fee, gives you 3% back on travel, on gas, on dining, maybe even on some other stuff that I can't remember anymore, but I tend not to use it because I don't have other Wells Fargo cards, and so there's no opportunity potentially to combine points or anything else with that, and I can get at least 3% on all those categories with other cards in other sort of card ecosystems where maybe I would combine points. So this one sits around and really doesn't get used. And then finally, there is, well, actually not totally finally, but there is the Apple card, which I, honestly don't ever really use at all. You can see in the corner there where I burned it when I first got it because I was trying to get a lot of attention on YouTube by doing something crazy. Anyway, this is the Apple card that I really don't use very much because I don't buy a whole lot of Apple products where you can get 3% back, and then you can get decent rewards with this card if you are a normal Apple user on a regular basis, especially if you use Apple Pay. But for me, it doesn't really fit into what I use. I do have my Apple TV Plus on here, but in truth, I could get more for it on the Blue Cash Preferred card. I just haven't shifted it over to that, and it's like a 15-cent difference per month or whatever for what that costs. But pretty much nothing else going on this card, but I do have it. And of course, it has that nice stainless steel sound when you drop it on something like this. I also do have the Capital One Quicksilver and the Amex Everyday card buried somewhere. I'm not even quite sure where they are these days. I have not used the Quicksilver in forever because I have a 2% flat cashback card, and the Quicksilver only gives you 1.5% on everything. A fine card, but no longer competitive if you have the credit score to get something better. And then the Amex Everyday is the card. I did a video a while back. They actually were going to cancel it on me. I never use it. The only reason I did use it to keep it going so that they wouldn't close it on me was because it is my oldest card, 20 plus years, and I wanted to still stay around to help my credit score keep it at a high level. Otherwise, I would let that card go. So I almost have too many credit cards right now, but if I were going to add one, and I probably will at some point later on this year, some things that I would still be out there looking at. Last week we talked about the changes to the PayPal Cashback MasterCard, now going to give 3% back on PayPal purchases, which could be an awful lot of online purchases and even some offline purchases, while it gives 2% back everywhere else. So that is a pretty enticing offer. I unfortunately have been kind of locked out from US Bank. I wish I could get my hands on the Altitude Go and the Cash Plus card, but I am not going to sort of stop getting credit cards just to satisfy US Bank, because if you get too many, they're not going to let you have their cards, at least in my case, and so I've been kind of shut out there. So if you have one of those cards, I am envious of you. Otherwise, maybe some travel cards I would look at, some specific ones to an airline or a hotel. My wife just got an American Airlines card, which means she's going to be using that, which means she'll probably be more likely to fly on American, and maybe I would do the same since we tend to fly together. I also had that redemption recently that was pretty good with Wyndham, so maybe I would think about getting the Wyndham card. Some people have told me really great things about the Wyndham program in general. Depending on what types of hotels you want to stay in, you can get some really nice redemptions with them. So possibly that is something I would look into, but there's nothing that's just like making me really want it right now. So I'm kind of hanging back, waiting maybe to see if there's that bonus that is just so killer that I have to go after it. Now, like I said, I have a ton of credit cards, more than the average user. I would love to hear what you are rolling with, especially if you're someone that is a little newer in your credit career, so to speak, and you haven't been able to sort of acquire as many cards as I have. What is your lineup for Q2 and why? Put those in that comment section below. Otherwise, I thank you for watching. And as always, please go to proudmoney.com, where we do credit card reviews, we talk personal finance, we talk deals, and all sorts of other fun stuff too. If you don't want to do any of those things I just asked for, maybe you'd want to watch this video.